Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 221st episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are asking a really interesting question, which is, what is allyship all about? But before we dive deep into the subject, a couple of things to cover. Have you gone to WokeNFree.com to not only listen to this episode, but to download it through the Podbean app? If you haven't, please do, because that's A, the best way to show support, but B, that's how you join the conversation. That's how you can put in your comments with the app, and then we can talk to each other. That's how we do every single week. So make sure you do that. Now, for some reason, if you cannot download additional apps on whatever device you catch podcasts on, then please go to WokeNFree.com, go to the listen tab, and then you can pick your platform of choice where you want to follow and subscribe to the show at. So for instance, we get tons of love on iTunes for TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play. Of course, we'd love more support on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel. SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. It's a WokeNFree world, guys. So make sure that you do that. Now, we also would love on WokeNFree.com for you to do the following, which is at the top of the page, it says click to subscribe to follow the show. Please do that. And then on social, you can easily find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And then if you have 90 seconds, what can you do? Quite a bit, but we would love for you to review the show. So again, listen tab on WokeNFree.com, pick your platform of choice where you'd like to review the show at. And with that, I'm going to kick it to you, Khalil.
All right, that's cool with me. But before we start the conversation, we got to share a little bit about ourselves. This week, we're asking, would you rather have a popcorn kernel stuck in your throat or a toothpick break between your teeth?
This is like deeply violent and weird, but to
violent?
Answer...
It's uncomfortable at best.
It's violent. But to answer the question, I would say popcorn because I don't want wood in my teeth, and I don't even want to think about the insinuations from that statement in and of itself.
Really? Oh. Okay, that's...
My mind goes different places when I hear this. So
all right, I don't see where this could go anywhere. Just like bad time at the movie theaters. That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay,
but
what's your answer?
I just picked the one that's less dangerous because you think the popcorn stuck in your throat that could kill you. The toothpick broken between your teeth, you're not dying from that. So I'm going to go with the toothpick because at least that death isn't imminent. Because
I'll take my chances.
With the kernel, someone has to do the back blows on you.
And good enough. I'm glad that you're strong enough for that task, eh?
Yeah, but you gotta recognize, too. You gotta recognize the person's choking. What if you're not a first respondent? You don't know how to do it.
Wonderful.
That's like, an issue. You gotta have people that kind of know the dealio when it comes to saving people.
Okay.
And it's similar to how there's allies in other sorts of industries.
You're a mess. You're a mess.
Of course, we're talking about industries, and we're also talking about allyship for this episode.
Okay.
So maybe you can just describe what is allyship all about.
Great transition, sir. So what is allyship? There's lots of different sources that you can pull from. I really like the conversation that was shared on Forbes.com. So again, if you're new to WokeNFree, all of our links are available in the episode on WokeNFree.com. And so on Forbes, they say the following: allyship is a lifelong process of building relationships based on trust, consistency, and accountability with marginalized individuals and or groups of people. Not self-defined, work and efforts must be recognized by those you are seeking to ally with. It's an opportunity to grow and learn about ourselves while building confidence in others. And so ultimately, what would I say? It's being the friend to a community of people, whether you share their experience or not, typically not, and also acknowledging when that community there's injustice happening, and you not being silent because silence is complicence, and you saying something and you helping and assisting that community where they need assistance.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a good way to describe it. Mm-hmm. And I'll just add the dictionary definition in there. It's the state or condition of being an ally, supportive association with another person or group, specifically such association with the members of a marginalized or mistreated group to which one does not belong. So I think that's probably an important part.
Yeah, definitely.
Of allyship.
Yeah, it's typically you're not a part of the community, but you're still saying, "Hey, I want to be a friend to this community," and you're also taking action. It's not just rhetoric. I think that's what's key. A lot of people want to classify themselves as allies, and I think what I have experienced in my career and in my life is like, well, what does that mean, right? What have you done to demonstrate allyship? Because it's more than social media posts, and it's definitely more than attending a protest. It's that actionable work where, did you help someone get hired? Did you help make the transition into a company better? Did you help invest in someone's business? Did you buy that person's self-published book? Did you buy their, holiday cakes, right? Like it's the action of allyship that's really critical here, not the rhetoric around it.
But for you wouldn't define allyship as somebody who supports lumberjacks.
It's any community, right?
But they're not marginalized.
So if they're a person of color who's a lumberjack, then yes, right? Then you're an ally.
Oh, so that's the only way.
It's the marginalized community.
Yeah,
so whatever marginalized community they're a part of, what is the actual work you're doing with that community?
That's the only time that allyship applies then. Not for people that are...
You can be an ally to anyone, right? But I think that in the context of after George Floyd, I think that's where we hone in on allyship with Black and brown people, allyship with LGBTQIA, allyship with the indigenous people, right?
Mistreated groups.
Marginalized communities, I think is the type of allyship that's most talked about now, given the context of the world that we're living in.
Oh, okay.
So to keep the conversation going, I would say, what would you say is the key when it comes to being a good ally?
I think the first thing is you got to understand the group that you're working with a little bit more. So it's good to learn what are some of the key problems that they're facing today. And then you should also think about what can you actually do to help minimize that injustice that they face, and maybe how you even partake in, this marginalization of them. Yeah. So those are some things to think about when being an ally.
I love that. Yeah. I think the unique proposition conversation is critical, because I think people fail to realize that what can I do about it? You can actually do quite a bit, right? You can help by actually supporting people's businesses. You can help by not standing by when you hear microaggressions being said. You can help when you hear or see someone being wrongly treated in the workplace or in professional settings or whatever setting you're a part of. There's a unique proposition that we all have an accountability for. It's just whether you want to pick up the torch, right? And really do something about it. But Forbes continues to say that, an ally is going to be a person that's actively promoting and aspiring to advance the culture of inclusion through intentional, positive, and conscious efforts that benefit people as a whole. So similar to kind of what I'm talking about. And then they give some examples of lifting up others by advocating. So advocating is a good way to be an ally. Also sharing growth opportunities. I think that's really critical, right? Not all of us are getting those emails around, oh, there's this new position or this new opportunity. So if you're in a position where you can give to people who normally won't get that email or won't get invited to that party, that's a great form of allyship, because you're opening doors for people who normally those doors are closed. So I think that's phenomenal.
Oh, all right.
Not viewing venting as a personal attack, right? Meaning understanding that when a person from a marginalized community is having challenges and they're sharing it with you, and you may be a part of the community or you might even be a part of the problem, not taking it personal and understanding why they're upset, right? And
that's
that
rough.
They're not, and that is rough, because you have to dissociate and be the bigger person and understand it's not about you and the color of your skin, right? Or the community you happen to be a part of, but it's a bigger systemic issue that marginalized person is dealing with.
Yeah.
And, to your point, recognizing systemic inequalities and realizing the impact of things like microaggressions. And then also trying to believe the underrepresented people's experience, right? So a lot of people gaslight or try to say, oh, are you saying that only because you happen to be a part of this community? Are you overreacting? Are you too sensitive? Right? Constantly undermining people and their experience is not helping, and it's definitely not being an ally. So I think that those are important points that Forbes also shares.
Wow. Yeah, those are good ones.
Another key question here for this conversation would be then, what is your advice when it comes to allyship? If all the things you could talk about, what would you say to either the ally or the person looking for an ally?
For me, I just think of 3 things that I would want people to follow if they want to be an ally of any particular group. Mm-hmm. And I think the first thing is to know when to admit that you don't know something, because a lot of times you think you know it all, and you're like, hey, I mean, I don't have to ask them any questions. I know what they're going through. I can figure it out. Oh, wow. I see the media and stuff. I know what's going on in your group. And I think sometimes that's not enough. You have to actually talk to the group and actually see what's going on. So just admit, like, hey, I don't even know what the problem is. Like, can you like walk me through some of the things? Because some people don't know. I know you list the microaggressions, but they don't even
know what that is.
They might not know what that is. Yeah, they might not know that's even occurring. So it'd be just good though to admit that they don't know. You know, that like if you mention a microaggression happened, they'd have to talk about that. And then you should also, or they should also know when to ask for how they can
help.
Yeah, for how they can help you. So sometimes it's not, I mean, sometimes it's like not inopportune for them to be like asking you questions when you're going through something. So knowing when the right time to ask is that's,
so
I
like
think that's key.
Room, really.
Yeah, because you can't just all come up all the time empathy, and saying, "Oh man, what's your group going through now?" Like you know, or it comes off comes off fake. So you need to, they need to kind of know when's the time, like when's an appropriate time for this. When can I pull you aside and talk to you? True. Yeah. And then the last thing I advise is they need to know when to be an active listener and not just be partaking in actions. Like when do you just hear somebody out and
stop talking?
Yeah. And don't have any input. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. That like really hear us. Right. And I think that's the key that people fail to understand, that being a part of a marginalized community, we are constantly fighting to be heard and to be seen amongst each other and also with other people, especially oppressors or people who are actively going against our community or marginalized people's community. So that is really great advice. I guess for me, I would say one thing that, a couple of things. One, when it comes to allyship, when would I like to see it be played up the most is in the workplace, to be honest. You know, there have been tons of opportunities where I've had people say microaggressions or say something really inappropriate or sexist or misogynistic, and people just stand by and say nothing and do nothing because, again, most people are fearful of like, well, I don't want to lose my job, or that has nothing to do with me. And I think that this lack of accountability for ourselves and making sure that we all play a role in solidifying a healthy and inclusive workplace is not a sign to just some people, but it's a sign to all of us. We all have a role to play there. So I would like to encourage people not to be so afraid to help, and that you remember that silence means like that you're complicit to whatever is happening. So whether it's sexism, whether it's racism, whether it's transphobia, like whatever is happening, if you do not say anything or if you do not do anything, then you are essentially agreeing with that harmful act or that transaction. And that's really challenging. To some of your points, I would say keep learning, right? Keep understanding about bias, keep understanding about how things like bias impact other people, also your own biases that you have, and try to unpack and kind of demolish the indoctrination that so many of us have had by being in this country and living under the system for which we do.
You talking about the U.S. or other countries?
We live in the United States, so we can only speak from our perspective, right? As being citizens of the United States, but I can't speak on, you know, some of the other kind of layering of issues that happen internationally, just because that's just not my context. But yeah, I mean, obviously the things that are happening here similarly probably happening elsewhere and might be different or might be more intense in another way elsewhere. But yeah, we all geographically have systematic breakdowns in our society, and we have to be aware, right? We have to keep learning and understand where we can make a difference. And, you know, I would say in a non-work context, the only other thing I'd like to bring up, and it's a sad story to bring up really, because it, you know, it kind of tarnishes how I view my collegiate experience, which was at Penn State, right? I was in a class with two of my seemingly friends. They were not of the same background as I am. And, I was, you know, they were chatting as you do in a classroom with 800 people. people get bored, right? And yes, I shouldn't have been chatting, and no, my friends who were sitting next to me side by side shouldn't have been chatting, but all of a sudden, right, I feel a kick in the back of my chair. Wonder what's going on. Weird. Turn around, I see a male sitting, not of the same background as me, and, don't think of it. Maybe I think, maybe he just kind of made a mistake. Then again, my friends are talking, kick in the back, and the kick is the feeling I have keeps moving. So first it's at the bottom base of my chair, then it moves up to the middle. Then the last kick that I received was at the top of the chair, which meant that his shoe kicked a part of my back of my neck. And that is where I was like really outraged, because it's like, first of all, you keep kicking me, and now you've actually like kicked me, physically hurt me. And I turn around and this person goes and says, you don't even deserve to be here. Right. And so the problem with that, there's several problems there, but the biggest problem that I had was not just that this person attacked me, not that this person is also insinuating based on my race that, I shouldn't deserve to be in college, or I shouldn't deserve to be in Penn State, but that the two friends that I was with said nothing and did nothing. That part of that experience is always actually what kills me the most, because in that moment, that's where allyship would have meant the most to me. That the two females next to me, if they had said anything or had even comforted me, but they didn't address what the male said to me, nor did they address me after the situation saying, wow, that was messed up. It was just that they just were quiet and acted as if that didn't happen. And so when allyship matters is when people are being hurt in front of you, and it's not okay to be quiet, and it's not okay to do nothing. And, like I said, that was a really challenging situation for me in my life, because I hadn't experienced that. I'd been called the N-word before in my life at a very young age, but I hadn't been attacked before. So that was new, and really challenging. So,
wow.
But listen, Ruha, we are, right? I will forever love Penn State, but that was a really horrible moment.
You have to admit, not everybody agrees on allyship.
Correct. That's a great point, actually. Yeah.
So that's the thing. They just believe in just making sure they're okay.
They
say you do you, figure it out.
They choose themselves over you, and it's like, I was really hurt. I was
definitely not friends, though. You know that.
Yeah, I was not friends. Yeah, I think this happened.
But you weren't.
Was this our freshman or sophomore year? It was our freshman year, right? I think
so.
It was our freshman year, yeah. And, I was a young person. I still, too, was even forming my Black identity. And, I felt like at the end, I didn't even fully, I don't even think I held this person accountable for the action. I didn't, report it in a way that was meaningful. And so there was a lot of missteps in that, I didn't have friends there to support me. I didn't hold this person accountable for hurting me, emotionally and physically, because my neck did hurt after. So, and then, having dirt on your body, like, it's just a jacked up situation, like a really horrible, frustrating moment. But, you learn, and that to me is one of the key moments of when people say, like, why does allyship matter? That's why, because someone can hurt you. And if someone that claims to be your friend refuses to even say one word, right, it really makes you feel like you're worth nothing. So, that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Emmylou likes to tell Jonathan she supports his people and always has his back. She likes to remind him she has lots of friends just like him. Is she someone who could be called an ally?
No, so this is rhetoric, and it's also bordering on being insulting, because saying that you support someone because you have friends that look and or are a part of that person's community is, partly asinine. What are you doing? Right? Like that's my biggest issue, that I want less talking and more action, right? If you support a person's community, prove it. What have you done? Have you supported people in that community's business? What have you done economically, financially, from a mentoring perspective? What is the action? Rhetoric takes our community, or takes marginalized community people nowhere. everyone can talk. We can all talk, right? We all have mouths, right? But what are we doing? And so that is just no. 2 thumbs down.
So, yeah, the thing I have with this one is the only reason I don't think you would call her an ally is because people have different definition of friends. So it doesn't, even if she's telling the truth, it's like, okay, you just go out drinking with them. Doesn't mean anything. How are you really an ally? I mean, they buy you beer to think they're your ally, right?
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like, that's nuts. That doesn't mean you're an ally.
Super embarrassing.
Because, people think that's enough. Be like, wow, I'm hanging out with them. That's being an ally. Look, my presence is enough. I mean, that's not doing it. That's not getting them anywhere. That's not getting a foot in the door. So
absolutely.
I don't think you could just be like, I'm a friend. I have lots of friends in that group, so I must be an ally.
Different type of relationship.
That's not necessarily true. That's just something different. Just because you're partying with them, that doesn't tell us anything about how you help out the group. So at this point, we can't call her an ally, and she might be racist too. It's possible. It's hard to say in this scenario because that's how people do. It's a little bare, so we're not sure. Scenario 2. Deborah Lee has a coworker that feels he is woke AF. Every time a man makes a misogynistic comment to women around the office, her coworker just laughs. What could the coworker do to show Deborah Lee that he is an ally?
Wow. So that's a great question. So again, we as people who want to be allies, it's more than conversation or action. It's more than conversation. It requires action. So if you are a party to or witness injustice, there's a couple of things, right? In the career setting, there is, you could speak to the person who's had the wrongful act or transaction happen and then provide some type of solace or support. You can also ask if they would like, kind of back up or support if they plan to take this to HR. They themselves can also take it to HR if they felt, for confidential reporting, if they felt uncomfortable or not at ease with what they witnessed or were a party to. They can also, maybe speak with people, maybe if the company has, DEI type of programming, maybe suggest content around or creating some type of training around what you're witnessing to. So there's a couple of things, could work with and support the person who had the injustice happen, work with HR, work with the DEI people or anything touching that to see if things can happen, but not sitting or laughing is definitely not.
That's a good ally.
Definitely
that's
we're
woke.
not. Yeah, we're not. No.
That's woke.
I'm like gonna stumble over words on that one. That's wildly inappropriate.
Oh, all right.
And your thoughts?
My thoughts are, this reminds me of the
Simpsons.
we were just talking about the show The Office, the Packer guy. He was just like this. He made so many inappropriate comments on everybody, everything, and he was definitely misogynistic.
Oh man.
And it was crazy because nobody there said nothing to him about it. He just got away with it.
There was a lack of allyship in that.
Yeah, they didn't really, they didn't band together and say, hey, you got to get rid of him.
Inappropriate. Yeah, the people just looked shocked and dismayed, but they didn't.
Yeah, they never actually even took it to HR or talked to him. But
the HR in that office.
That's why,
Toby was not.
Yeah, he was a softie. He didn't really get things done, but
gonna work,
the thing is, they no one ever even just stepped in and said, hey, that's not right. You need to stop speaking like that.
At least confront it, right? Yeah, and say, wait a minute.
Yeah, so I think the first step in this scenario is just to confront the person and just tell them, hey, that's not right. You can't speak like that.
What you said made me feel uncomfortable. I disagree with this type of rhetoric, especially in the workplace.
But did it make him feel uncomfortable, the ally, or does it just an uncomfortable situation?
I don't know. Does
a misogynistic comment make me uncomfortable?
I don't even want you to answer.
I don't have levels of uncomfortability. I'm always comfortable. That's the problem.
I'm not even. I cannot even.
I know.
Absolutely not, Khalil. Absolutely not. So,
that's
do
the
you
problem.
are you saying that it should, do you think the likelihood of someone reporting something based on other people's uncomfortability is low? Do you think they have to be personally offended to then report it?
No, but I'm saying before even report it, just talk to the person because maybe they'll stop saying this stuff. And then if they continue, then I say report.
With that though, some people want to just kind of sneak and just report.
Yeah, I don't like that though, because you're working with this person, but you're like a secret spy on them and talking all this stuff. Like, that to me is messed up, because then if they do their detective work, they figure out it's you, and then you're on bad terms because you didn't even approach them. So
what if you approach them and they like give you the middle finger?
Then then it's good. We're never going to be friends, right? So I can go to the HR now. I can take it to the authority. It's like that. I tried the civil approach. You didn't want to do it the right way, so now I'm going. Yeah, now I'm going to bring in the big guns. Let's go. See, but you don't want to go to that way. You don't want to just I think that's funny how people sneak around and they. Some
people feel very uncomfortable about confronting people.
I can, because sometimes if somebody's super aggressive, then it may be
they're like, hey, I walk around and I have knives in my pockets, right?
Yeah, they might see you in the parking lot and you're like, you know what? But I don't know. I mean, if you're in that type of situation, it seems like there's something else going on at this job. Like, I don't know. If you have people that are that uncomfortable that you can't even like address, I don't know.
One would hope that you should always feel comfortable to be able to address the person and that they haven't threatened you in any way or form. But if they have, then that's more HR content as well.
Yeah, so I think you can. I think you can address them either way before going to HR. I think you should wait a little bit and just. Just talk to them on the side.
Spies.
Yeah, this is crazy. Double agents now. This is nuts. You think they're on your team, but they're actually on the A team.
Mission impossible.
It's different.
Let's do this.
I think you got to give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, just see. And then if they show their true colors, because some people will say, "Oh yeah, I'll do it," and then they go on and still make the comments. Then then you're gonna have to do what you got to do. You got to bring it to HR because this person won't stop. They just can't get it together.
Makes sense.
Scenario 3. Gian Franesco has started a social media group to draw more allies for disenfranchised people. The group helps connect people of all different backgrounds. She wants to know what is the best way to grow this group.
Oh, what a wonderful scenario. So I can't say that person's name, but can you share the appropriate pronoun?
It's a she.
She.
Because I said she wants, at the end.
She. Oh, that's her identifier. Great.
Yeah.
So she wants to learn how to grow this group. So, one thing is, I would need more information, right? Like, does she also have a blog? Is she also on LinkedIn? Is she on Twitter? Like other platforms where you can like cross-pollinate content within the group onto other platforms. So that's where I'd want to know, as well as also what is she looking to do? What is her ultimate goal of the group? Is it to get a really large network? Is it to also produce events? Is it to have some type of seminars? Like, I'd want to understand a little bit more about the intentionality and behind the group. Then that would be helpful for me to help figure out how you could grow it. But I think one avenue is making sure that she does have other social media platforms to be able to post about it elsewhere. If she hasn't already considered a blog, that would also be a helpful way to bring attention to the group and her mission, as well as, creating incentives for why people should join. So, is there giveaways? Is there, content that they need, some type of problem she's solving, right? Whenever you solve a problem, that is a way to grow an audience around something. So those are some of my thoughts there.
All right. I think she should take the AAA approach. You know what that is?
Break it down for WokeNFree.
I'm just making this up.
Great.
Just so you know it. Just so you don't think this is something that someone else has came up with.
Amazing.
This is something
so got to trademark it after.
Your husband made this up. It came to his mind.
Nice.
And let's see what you think about it. So the first A is going to be for action. So she needs to take action as you were, I don't know if you discussed that, but action in terms of going to her community and discussing what the issues are of a disenfranchised group. Just go out and just discuss it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe start a meetup or something. Like you said, go on different platforms.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The second thing is reach out to activists that actually represent these groups.
Yeah.
Because if they get on board, they'll bring a whole bunch of people.
And they'll bring people.
Yeah, and then you can bring all this bunch of people together on your platform and get them to connect, and it'll be out. And what's good, it's going to be allies from different groups. So
I love it.
I think that's really nice. And then the last thing, I'm surprised you didn't bring it up, but it's super important, and you better get that dolo ready. It's advertisement.
I love it.
Because if you put ads out, then you're going to get some more traction, right?
How did you say? You said, I suggest the AAA approach. So that's going to be we're going to do a whole other thing on that. Look at you, Khalil. I love that.
I thought about that one.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Say her name again.
Gian Franesco.
Beautiful. And we're back to laughter.
No, it's not laughing. We're laughing at how fun people are.
Amazing.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Because people are very fun. Amazing, exactly. Yeah, you're right. I was hoping exactly start with an A, but it didn't.
I know. Oh,
Ace, but I could say exactly.
Ace.
No. Come on now. That doesn't even fit. If we're just saying random A words. Alibaba.
Acclaim. Accolades. Darn.
Associates, okay.
This is going down a dark path.
Definitely.
With that, it looks like we are at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 221st episode of
WokeNFree.
Quite the episode. Really great tips on what is allyship all about, and we really hope that you enjoy this conversation. So, Khalil, what do folks have to do now?
Probably come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode.
Absolutely.
Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, definitely submit a topic for an upcoming episode in 2022, guys, as to kind of what your story is and why we should interview you and bring you on the platform. Where do you find us? On our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That's WokenFree.com. I mentioned our social. All of our handles are on WokenFree.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn at WokenFree. And then all sponsorships and collaborations. Where do you go? You all know the page. Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokenFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokenFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.